You see, for some time now, there is this intellectual argument that have been going on in the country saying that it is going to be difficult for the country to get its leadership structure right until something is done about the 1999 constitution.
Yes.
Now let's listen to Dele Farotimi speak on the issue, and after that I will come back and tell you everything I know about the relationship between the 1999 constitution and the repeated sequence of bad leadership that we have had in the country.
Line 20 Daily Farotimi up and ask them to become president of Nigeria. 20 of me, 20. Multiply their brain power by 10, factor of 10, and then force them to operate the 1999 constitution with the governance system that is enshrined in it. We shall fail spectacularly. The problem of Nigeria can never be resolved by personnel changes. The system is designed with impunity undergirding it, and it can never deliver anything positive to the Nigerian peoples, be those Yoruba, Hausa, Igbo, Fulani, whatever they care to be. Every Nigerian is rendered stateless by the 1999 constitution. It is an iniquitous, wicked, and evil document. It has nothing good for the Nigerian people.
So, in most countries of the world, citizens complain that their officials are corrupt.
Hell.
But in Nigeria, the situation is that corruption is official. In most countries of the world, when officials engage in corrupt practices, they are persecuted by the provisions of their constitution.
Yes.
But in Nigeria, it's like when our own officials engage in corrupt practices, they are protected by the provisions of the constitution.
Yeah, maybe one.
Now, let me take you back a little bit.
Okay.
If you have been following the history of this country, you will know that Nigeria have been unfortunate on multiple layers.
Dissolve!
From being a slave coast and a raw material hub for the slave master to, the by force marriage of 1914 called amalgamation that brought a clash of cultures, which is actually where the misfortune started from.
Hell.
Then as our founding fathers moved towards independence in 1960, they thought they were going to get an opportunity to make things right. But unfortunately, they were tricked into accepting a type of independence that was still dependent on the dictates of the slave masters, which is another major misfortune. And this type of fake independence brought a dysfunctional government system that prioritized the interest of the slave master over the interest of the people.
Wickedness.
And this led to military intervention. And military intervention brought about coups, counter coups, assassinations, tensions and resentment between one ethnic group and the other. And this ultimately led to the Civil War. And after the war, the military continued from where they stopped from. Dishing out decrees that are meant to punish a people instead of rebuilding and reconciling, which is another major misfortune. Now, as we got towards the 1999, about to migrate from military dictatorship to civilian democracy, we thought it was a time for a fresh beginning. And that was when the new layer of misfortune was unleashed on the country in the form of the 1999 constitution.
God, why?
In fact, that constitution is not more like a constitution. It looks more like a military decree, because it was put together by people with military orientation, which puts a lot of power on the federal government, which is in line with the same military governance style of absolute control, without consulting with critical stakeholders that should have a say in revenue allocation and power distribution. So the template for civilian rule was given to us by people with military orientation. No wonder it was very easy for most of them to drop kake and brought agbada and came back in the civilian system. But that one is by the way. Now, I am not a lawyer. Everything I'm going to say here is based on personal perception, knowledge, and research. So here are the things I feel that are wrong with that constitution, which is leading to all of these intellectual arguments. Number one is the dishonesty of the opening statement of that constitution. Because the opening statement of the constitution says that we, the people of Nigeria, have resolved to live together in unity as one indivisible and indissoluble entity under God.
Really?
And the question is, who is we? Who made the resolve? Who and who we are consulted? Because as long as I am aware of, the only condition that made our founding fathers to agree to coexist around the 1960s was through federalism.
You get it?
Where every region we have the power to, see to the welfare and security of their people and manage their resources. Just like you have in US, where every state has their own electoral commission, because every state is like a small country under a larger country.
You get it?
So this 1999 constitution was enforcing unity without making provision for the one thing that is supposed to sustain the unity.
Funny people.
No wonder people like Ohamadike is still languishing in custody, because once you mention anything like freedom, the state will see you as worse than an infidel.
For what?
Because to them, speaking English in the constitution is enough to ensure unity. Without knowing that without making provision for justice, equity, and fairness, the English doesn't make much sense.
Talking like a parrot.
The second thing is that constitution makes provision for fantastic corruption. Hey! Like I said, I'm not a lawyer, so I may get some of these sections wrong, but I think in section 81, it says that the head of the executive, which is the president and governors, cannot spend money without the approval of the legislative arm, Senate and House of Assembly. Okay. Then in section 82, it says, but they can still run the country while appropriation is going on without spending more than 50% of what was in the budget.
That is not correct.
So the constitution is telling me, Jollof, you cannot spend money unless your followers approve. But if your followers delay in approval, you can have key to the treasury, but don't spend more than 50% of what you presented to them.
I got the advice from a madman.
And then again, section 83 now gave them absolute immunity, which means nobody can question them while they are in office. And as they are leaving office, they have influence to determine who takes over position, so nobody is going to probe anybody. So this is the type of constitution that means that your elected representatives are not accountable to you.
Yeah, maybe one.
Another issue in the constitution is that it makes room for recklessness. It says any money coming into the government goes into the federation account, I think section 162, and it is shared between the federal, the state, and the local government. It didn't make any provision for saving. Even Angola here, our fellow African country, they have a constitutional provision for saving 10% of their daily oil income and putting it into investment. But in Nigeria, just share everything. No wonder when Goodluck Jonathan wanted to put more money into the SS crude account, the governors dragged him to court.
What?
Because to them, saving money is against the constitution. Why should he save money when they have not finished spending? And they won the case. And the court ordered that the SS crude account should be shared.
Hell.
And Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala was like, why did I even leave World Bank to come and be dealing with this type of people?
When I want to explain it,
and that thing is that it kills the productivity of the state. Instead of the state governors to be thinking of how to raise revenue to take care of their people, they are running to Abuja at the end of every month to go and beg for allocation.
70 years old man.
To buttress this fact, in Nigeria, we have had 31 former governors indicted for corruption. Only 12 have ever appeared in court, and only 2 have ever been sent to prison, and those 2 were finally granted presidential pardon. Those are the type of laws we have in Nigeria, which is enshrined in the constitution that is governing us.
Yeah, maybe one.
Now, the next bigger issue in the constitution is that it takes power far away from the people.
There is nothing to show for it.
We have 68 items in the exclusive list of the federal government. Now, your security is in the list of the federal government. It is only the federal government that have absolute rights over your security, and they don't know the road to your village.
Hell.
No wonder former Benue State governor spent 8 years in office begging the federal government to come to his rescue because he was helpless as a governor.
You don't know.
No wonder like Southeasterners are the highest importers in Nigeria, but we can't no governor can develop any seaports because anything about ports is in the exclusive list of the federal government. No wonder the Niger Delta are crying about pollution and cleaning up their land because everything relating to oil, refining, extraction, they are all in the exclusive list of the federal government. You know, I was watching Senate sitting last time, and one senator from Abia State was begging federal government to come and fix Umuahia Ikotek Bene Road.
Hell.
Most major infrastructure around you are in the exclusive list of the federal government. So the road you don't have, the bridges that are collapsing, the lack of security, the light that you don't have, all of these are partly as a result of that provision, of that constitution, which puts almost every aspect of the economy in the exclusive list of the federal government, and they are quite far away from you as a people.
Yeah, maybe one.
But the bigger problem we have in the country is that the country is so dysfunctional that it is now producing a lot of dysfunctional citizens. A lot of citizens will rather defend, protect, and, fight for the system with their lives because they are so used to anomaly that they don't even know what normalcy looks like.
Yeah, maybe one.
And that is why you that is still enlightened, that is still learned, you have a lot of work to do in sensitizing the people around you in the role they have to play if they are going to take back this country.
You get it?
So the only thing you are supposed to do for me is I've done my own. I keep putting out this kind of messages online. Share it and distribute it. You don't know how many people you are going to change their psyche and make them part of this struggle. Share this message. I'm going to let me well. Can you hear me?
Jesus Christ.